Good afternoon, good morning, hello, wherever in the world you may be. This is episode 4 of Freeformers and Friends, our weekly live stream, which my next guest, actually, I haven't told this to my next guest, will actually become a podcast as well. We figured out how to make the live stream a podcast. So this will come through your Spotify feed every week or so, shortly after the broadcast, into your podcast feed. More on that probably next week, because we've got a little bit of finessing to do with the live streaming software before we just chuck it into a podcast format. But episode one with Emily Forrest is now on Spotify, should you want to listen to it if you missed us. So, Freeformers and Friends, what are we doing here? We're talking to the people that you don't usually hear from about the world of work. So we stream primarily on LinkedIn, but like I always say, we are on X, Twitch, and YouTube. We're, for whatever reason, we tend to get 4 or 5 people on Twitter, and they engage with us. So Elon Musk is obviously sending some bots to watch us, and we always get a lovely bot from Twitch as well. But without further ado, I am super pleased to get this guy finally on camera with me to talk absolute. I was going to say garbage. We talk good stuff. We do talk good stuff. We may get a little bit carried away with some of our content. I have known him for about 10 years. He's changed his name in that time. I am so excited to welcome to the stage Rocky. Hello, my friend.
Hello, good afternoon.
How you doing?
It is afternoon there, is it? I'm doing well. Thank you.
It is afternoon. It's 4 p.m. British summertime. What time is it there? Oh, whoa, hang on a minute. No. Tell the viewers at home or at work, where are you?
Me or
Yeah, you. Where are you?
anybody?
You. I'm talking to you, Rocky. You, the only other person on this live stream. I'm talking to you.
It'll take me a few minutes to catch up. I'm going to blame the little hamsters running there to keep the Wi-Fi connection going. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, so I'm 6 hours behind you. It's 10 a.m. here. Pretty hot and humid today. It's going to get close to 100 degrees. I have to remember what that is in Celsius. Let's just say it's bloody hot. It's hot.
I wish we had weather sim, like, for whatever reason here in June in the UK is like, well, it's what you would particularly would expect it to be. It's grey and miserable and rainy, and it's like, this is supposed to be summer.
Yeah, but then you get a few hot days to kind of trick you into thinking that summer's here. Do you remember that ad? Starbucks, I don't know if you remember this. Starbucks had a brilliant, you wouldn't have remembered it. You would have been a whippersnapper, but they had a brilliant print ad around 2000, 99 or 2000, that showed 20-somethings out by a pool in typical summer fare, just like hats and pool floaties and cocktails, having fun. And it was saying something about the British summer, and they were all drinking Starbucks, and it was pissing down with rain. I mean, they were soaked, but they weren't behaving like they were soaked. It was a brilliant print ad. It's worth looking up.
And for like you say, I'm a young whippersnapper. Can you please tell me, what is a print ad?
Yeah, when they used to put ink on paper and put it in magazines. You're going to say, what's a magazine, right?
Well, like a Kindle. Is that like a Kindle? Is this what we're talking?
Sure. Yeah, it's like a Kindle. It's like a Kindle. Absolutely. I mean, that was all the rage back then. I mean, it was just turning into digital. Actually, digital was just like literally coming online in a big way during that time. I was in London during those amazing halcyon days of the early stages of the Webbyverse coming online, and it was exciting times, and everybody was trying to find their footing. And print was still, print had to really up its game, and you had to figure out what you could do with print that you couldn't easily replicate online digitally. So print became interesting again for a short period of time in terms of creativity and delivery. All sorts of things, scratch and sniff, putting interesting secret messages inside envelopes that were tacked onto pages in magazines, putting ads upside down on the back of magazines. You know how you pull magazines, if they're a little higher up, how you pull them off the shelf? You have to get them out of the little guard. So you pull them down upside down, and the ad would be facing you, right? I mean, people were really using a lot of imagination in fresh ways until they realized, we can do all this online. So kind of
And are you
creativity took a
buying?
nosedive again.
Were you buying magazines from the top shelf a lot back in those days?
Sure. Yeah, of course I was. Yeah. Not the ones with little brown covers on them, but no, I mean it was a. I was
Clever.
working in print media back then and multimedia back then. We were early kind of generators of content online, but also ran a lot of printing projects, and so it was an exciting time. But that ad, I just remember it because I love it when companies can poke fun of themselves or the cultures that they're in, and it was just a typical classical British summer scene, just with lots of rain, but people carrying on as you would, as if it's super sunny outside. And I thought,
What
yeah,
year?
that's a British June or July.
What year are we talking?
99, I think 99, 2000, somewhere around there.
The
Yeah,
Millennium Bug.
the Y2K.
Yeah, remember
Yeah,
that?
of
Yeesh.
course. Yeah. Woo. Yeesh. Yeah, people storing up water in their garages and all sorts of crazy nonsense.
Buying their magazines to
Bags
make
of
sure
flour.
that they had some entertainment when all the computers went down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I digress.
Well, digress is what we do on Freeformers and Friends. This is, I know, this is just like unfiltered, it's slightly filtered chat in the LinkedIn verse and other related channels. So I said in the intro that we've known each other for 10 years. Why?
I was going to ask you that. Let me snap it back. Why have we known each other? What you mean? Why have we stayed in touch, or what was it that got us
I
in
think
touch?
both. Why did we ever come into each other's orbits first of all, and then why are we still talking to each other when realistically we've probably met 3 times in those like 10-year period?
I think only about four. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you were at. Can I say where you were working at the time?
It's on my
Was
LinkedIn
that
profile, so I think we're
ah?
safe.
Was it Dixon's Carphone Warehouse? Is that
So this
or
is the weird,
Carphone Warehouse Dixon's or
like, so when I first joined, this is going to be boring, but I'm going to go with it. It was called Dixon's Retail when I joined. Then it was
mhm.
called Dixon's Car Phone. Then it was called Curry's PC World Car Phone Warehouse. Electronic stores here in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
There.
And you were looking to you and Melanie and the department working on learning and development. I think it was L&D, wasn't it? Internal comms and learning and development. We're looking to do things different. These companies with different cultures, different ideas, we're merging together, and more of the same won't work because which more of the same do you pick? The one from this one or that one, and whose culture are you serving? And you're in between the cultures that are being mushed together as like an amalgamush of new culture internally, and that requires, if you want to do it well and successful, you're going to have to create something new that hasn't been before. And at the time, I was heading up a internal comms agency, and we certainly were building a name and reputation for thinking and doing different. And I don't remember how we got in contact, but you guys came in and we had some good conversations, and maybe I think we were a little probably too forward marching
No, so this
for
is
the
the interesting
company.
bit. So I think was there someone there called Lauren? I think their name was.
Yes,
So Nathan Frost, big shout out to Nathan, who now works at a Wix. I think he knew Lauren from some sort of work, and he said,
right,
"Hey, you're
right,
trying to do things different. You should talk to these folks over here." And then,
right.
as you said, myself and Melanie Lippy,
Yeah.
hello, now
Hello,
CBRE.
Melody.
She's not watching, but we'll tag her. We'll tag her below. We'll tag her and Nathan below. Say, hey, we talked about you folks. Be nice to hear from you. Actually, I've spoken to them in the past month. Anyway, myself and Mel and Nathan particularly as well would want to do forward-thinking things. We brought you guys in, and you were there were 3 companies that we were talking to, and I've tell this story a lot, but like this is like the forward-thinking scale. There was you folks at Refresh,
Yeah.
on this end or this end, depending on where you are. Then there was like like a really vanilla company in the middle who've been, I think I've told you this, they've been bought by EY since, because they're that corporate vanilla that EY goes, num 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 num, let's eat all that.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, this is lovely stuff that we want to buy. So they've recently been bought by EY.
Super non-offensive.
Yeah, well, that was it. It's like, oh, we're merging these.
Super clean and middle of the road, and nobody will. Hey, guess what? We won't offend anybody, which means we won't move or impact anybody, but at least we won't offend them. Sorry, carry on.
And then on the other end, there was just like the almost the cheap and cheerful solution that was really nice, like they're grand in storytelling, but they had like a templated approach. So wasn't necessarily groundbreaking, but was actually nice, if you like.
Yeah.
So so me and Mel really loved what you and Lauren and I forget the other
Andrea.
Yeah. So it was the three of you, right? You came in and you pitched some incredible stuff, and the stakeholders we were working with just went, yeah, we think we're gonna go with the middle one.
Always happens. We were very used to that. The reason we were disappointed on that particular project, firstly, we were kind of used to winning stuff, but when we didn't, that was pretty much the reason why. So we kind of got used to that answer. But we were disappointed because we really liked you and Mel as people, all of you as people, and we knew that you wanted to do things different. And if you're coming from a people-centric perspective, that's exciting and attractive to want to work things through together, because you end up with something incredibly both human and humane.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit of a disappointment, but we stayed in touch, I think, because we liked the cut of each other's jib. I'm not sure what your jib looks like, but
I can't get my jib out on this live stream for sure. I've been
certainly
told by the people at Microsoft who own LinkedIn, like, no jibs, no cutting or viewing of jibs.
Yeah. This is a jib-free zone. But I think we just liked each other as people. And I think there was a bit of pushing each other along a bit. I think we always kind of did that. And I stayed in touch with you, and you seemed to reciprocate, which means you didn't think I was entirely terrible or scary. And so we kind of did that throughout the years, and I kind of tracked you on your migrations and transformations. I remember pressing you more than once. You said, I'm thinking about starting something. I'm like, yes, do that, start that. And you're like, yeah, but you weren't quite there. And then you when it was time, you moved closer and closer, and then you took off, and here you are. And I'm really proud of you, mate. If I can say, you can't cry on this. So, but I am proud of you.
I can just sit here and cry. That's an American Office reference. But,
no, but I've seen the changes you've gone through, and you've always added a lot of value to everywhere you've been. And I knew you were going to be successful if you could sell yourself on taking the leap. Because when you want to do things different, there's a better way to think and do things. The hardest part isn't convincing other people. I think the hardest part is convincing yourself. And the other people know you have value. I could see the value. We talk through it a lot, but helping yourself get over the hump with the idea of launching out to do something new. I think that's the biggest, because that 0 to 1, movement, it's like velocity with pace that's the hardest step you'll ever take. It's much harder getting from 0 to 1 than it is getting from 1 to 2, or even 2 to 5. But you've done it, mate, and you guys are doing great. So
we're doing good. We're doing okay.
I wouldn't say all the happy stuff at the beginning. So we'll get over the no, you're great. No, you're great. No, you're great first, and then we'll have the rest of the time to kind of beat each other up. So
just a shout out to Callie, who's just messaging. She's commending us on remembering all the names of all these people.
Oh, yes.
10 years later down the line.
All those years? Yeah. I don't know how many years. I don't know how long 10 years is in digi years, but yeah, it's been a run.
It has.
Things have changed so much.
And like you say, you always thought I was going to do something. This isn't the Toby show. But this is why I think we've kept in touch, because I always tried and stopped and like went back into a job. Tried and stopped and went back into
Yeah.
a job. I kind of looked into the precipice of like starting something. I was like, "Oh, that's a bit scary. I'm not going to do that." And then I
Uh-huh.
ended up having 2 children. I was like, "You know what? Now's the time to do it. Now that I had 2 kids, yeah, let's roll those dice. Let's make this really scary because before it wasn't
Yeah,
scary enough. Now,
exactly.
wow."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
But
well,
but you've always done your own thing. You've always walked your own path. You've always carved your own direction out, right? Am I right or not?
that's pretty much right. Yeah, I mean, I had jobs. I had jobs when I was in my through my teens. I mean, I grew up with an amazing, extraordinary woman as a mother who doubled as my mother, but was a restaurateur, was an entrepreneur in the '60s and '70s. That's the previous millennia, by the way. Um, and she was incredible, and she was a woman in business when there were no women in business. I mean, and so I had that foundation, and she was independent, and she encouraged us to be independent. I'll tell you a funny story quickly how things have changed and not changed. She got me dressed up in a little suit from Sears and Roebuck, as it was called back then, a little polyester suit, pulled me out of school, got me dressed up in a suit to take me to the bank with her, which I was like her little prop, her little circus prop, her little lean on prop to go to the bank. I guess I was rather cute back in those days. And I remember her talking to the banker who was sitting there, and it's exactly what you would imagine, pinstripe, I mean, literally pinstripe suit, watch in pocket, big fat stogie of a cigar. He's smoking at his desk. And she's talking to him about the restaurant and needing to kind of upgrade things. And he was a regular patron and loved her, loved what she was doing and supported her a lot. And I'll never forget this. He said, Lee, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you with this. I can't take this loan upstairs. I just can't take it upstairs. If you can just get a real man to co-sign for you, we could have it cleared by this afternoon. Now, he wasn't being disrespectful. In fact, he was honoring her the most he could. He was really saying, you're man enough for me, but you're not man enough for the signature. We just wouldn't loan money to a woman. We just wouldn't do it. Didn't matter what she could prove how good her business was. They just didn't loan money to women, especially smaller banks. And she said, oh, don't worry, babe. For her, everybody was babe. She called everybody babe. She even called Governor babe. Steve Disney was babe. I mean, everybody was babe. She says, don't worry. And I'll see you tomorrow at lunch, right? Sure, I'll be there. Yeah, good. I'll make sure to come over and say hi. So we left. We got into the car, and it took her. She was kind of staring ahead, and she was reached for her keys and put her keys in, and she put her hands on the wheel, but we weren't going anywhere. And she just kind of was looking straight ahead, and then she just had these big fat single tears kind of come down, and she was kind of inhaling deeply. And I said, are you okay? She goes, yeah, I'm going to be fine. And then she said, we're going to be fine. And so I learned a lot from that whole experience, seeing how hard she worked, seeing how hard it was to get help, and knowing that, you know, that being independent, if you had a vision and you were really um, uh, um, committed to doing things different, to thinking and doing different, that you had a better chance of kind of achieving it and helping other people to achieve their thinking and doing differently. And so, bit of a sad story, but it was a great story. And I don't remember how she figured it out, but she figured it out. I mean, she never had a flop or a failure as a business. She was always successful in everything that she did. And so I had a great role model. And so I was encouraged to do my own thing. I remember starting a lawn business when in Florida is a good business, cutting grass and taking care of lawns and people's gardens. And she hooked me up with my first van, with my first rider mower, and all my kit. And I went out and had a lawn business and a pool cleaning business, and I was always looking to keep busy. So yeah, I've been independent since I was a young man, pretty much.
I've got to say, you're going to have to talk to Callie because Callie's in the comments again. Um,
Okay.
I think when you were being all mushy earlier, you nearly made her cry. Um, but
Uh,
she also said that we all need our own rocket. So
oh,
I think if anything, Rocket, this stream, you've gained at least one super fan already, which is
oh, well,
more than just
that's.
because you should have all the super fans.
I should
I
definitely have
should.
a set of super
All right,
fans. I don't
mate.
know if you can. I don't know if you can buy them. I don't know if they sell them in Costco. But if you know what Costco is in the UK. But no, I mean that's pretty what my form. That was my formation. You know, like a form of spiritual formation, soul formation too. It wasn't just values about work. My mom had incredible work, values and ethics, and she took care of thousands. I have thousands of stories. I mean, when she passed away, they referred to her as the first lady of Orlando. She was in business before Disney opened. She was downtown. Nobody ever went downtown. I mean, she was the first of the first of the first, and a woman, and had four kids to raise. So it was a challenge. It was a challenge, but I just wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and it really helped form my kind of thinking about creativity too, and just seeing it in action, seeing how you had to think fast on your feet. And the thing about restaurants too, people don't. If anybody out there is thinking of starting a restaurant, I've dissuaded. I've tried to do my job and to push so many people away because people like to home cook and they can be quite good cooks. And you're a. Do people know that you're a chef, Toby?
Oh, they do
That
now.
you trained? Well, they do now. So Toby's also a multi-brilliant generalist at many things. He's quite the chef. I haven't had the privilege of tasting such fine fare from him yet, but I know that you trained as a chef. Thing about restaurants is, if you imagine, every plate is live theater. Every time you're preparing a plate, it's a piece of live theater, and all the things that can happen from the kitchen through expediting out in front of the customer. It's such a nerve-wracking affair, and it takes a high degree of creativity on the fly all the time, not just on the menu, but in terms of how you run a restaurant, because every customer, every plate, everything is a mini experience that means everything in that moment to those people, and getting it right more than not, and then how you manage the times that you don't get it right, and how you win them even through the tough times and the not perfect plates to come back and give you another shot or to be loyal. It's just a great proving ground in terms of business, creativity, imagination, collaboration, community. But boy, oh boy, to run it, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I think it's the hardest business. I can't think of a harder business to actually do. And it's not something that I think any form of AI will dramatically change in the near future. They're already doing pretty amazing things. I know there's a restaurant, there's a couple of places, one in Las Vegas that has robots that make burgers and things. And I think there's a value to that. I mean, look, let's be honest. If you like your burger a certain way and you can get a machine to cook your burger perfect for you every time, I don't care if it's made by a robot. I mean, that's fine with me. But there are so many other things wrapped around that business and other businesses where I think AI, whether it's generative or automated or what, it's going to take a while to kick in. And any type of hospitality, where it really requires and demands that human to human connectivity, I think that those industries are going to be impacted less now and more in the future. So I'm just lucky, I've been able to have those experiences and kind of get me to where I am today.
Well, I think that's the common thread that we have is that hospitality. Both, like I grew up around, primarily pubs and the leisure industry on the glorious east coast of the United Kingdom, where the water is blue, the sand is yellow, and the sky was also blue.
Yeah.
Not that's what the pictures, the paintings make it out to be, but brown. They're all just different shades of brown. The sky is slightly grayish brown.
Don't pick on the east coast of the UK. I lived 17 miles from Clacton on Sea, mate. For many years, three of my children were born in Colchester, so I have a Strong Essex, proud
Essex is
heritage.
fine. Norfolk is fine. I'm in
Okay.
Norfolk. That's fine.
Okay.
It's when you
Okay.
get to my home, where I was brought up, Skegness, Cleethorpes, Grimsby, Hull. Even the word Grimsby, right? Grimsby, like
I know.
just it is grim. But I think we talked about this when we did a pilot of a podcast a couple of months ago, and we talked about the stresses and strains and human emotions you have to go through working in hospitality, because you see and live and breathe so many different human experiences, from the great to the
Yeah.
truly awful. And I think I think you get to that point where people who've experienced that kind of just find each other going, oh yeah, you're already weary of the world
Yeah.
because you've seen all this uh, and
Have
way,
you
there's
uh,
both sides to
have
it.
you seen have you seen The Bear, the series The Bear,
The
Fox
bear,
series The Bear
the bear.
from America?
The episode, oh,
Oh, yeah.
like
Did you cry a
I
little?
cried. I was like, I cried. I told my wife I
Uh,
want to work back in kitchens again. It was like
yeah.
like the whole of that episode was like it was gently massaging my brain. It was just going, "This is your
Hmm.
nice place." That episode was just the most beautiful,
Yeah.
heartwarming. No, even that whole season was great. But and it's coming out
Hmm.
again soon, right? But
Yeah,
oh
it
my
is. Yeah.
word,
Yeah. Yeah. But it shows the whole. I think with hospitality, it does. You have to be connected to your center point and your humanity to do it well. And at the end of the day, carrying that over into other industries, I think, is critical too. But that, just I always say that kind of bridge between humanity and behaving in a humane way, because they're not always as connected up as they should be. But I think that's more important than ever. This is supposed to be about work and the place of work and people at work. I think the podcast certainly sometimes, but that's what's been on my mind certainly the last year, is how to help give permission to leaders, and particularly who's my core client base, how to give them permission to kind of sometimes re-tap into their humanity, and to recognize that that's when they're going to be at their best place, and they can help to elevate their people to their best place. Getting their people to do demanding work and demanding time frames requires a high degree of kind of human touch, human insight, and um, and we still have a shot at this, in terms of how we interplay this into our organizations, and don't have to lean into AI. It's not something AI can really serve up yet. So this whole debate, I don't think there's a debate. I think it's here, it's coming. It's if you have a job that can be done by some form of AI, no matter how it's delivered, then you're going to have to think more about your career, your vocation in the future. But pulling in these principles you get from hospitality, I think a lot of them work across most industries with regards to how you deal with people and looking at HR in the future. Just an opportunity to be more human, really, I think.
and I think that's where again why we like each well, yeah, we like each other. I don't know why I paused there.
Careful.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to renounce the friendship on. I wanted to do it live on LinkedIn, so
Oh, great.
everyone
So
can
you're
see. Yeah,
breaking up with me on
yeah, yeah.
LinkedIn. Okay. Well,
No,
that's a
so
first. You've given me a first. That's a rare occurrence for me at my age and yeah, you've given me a first. Thank you.
the you've made me blush now. What were we talking about? Oh, that was it. The artificial intelligence is happening. It's going to do stuff like that's a given, and like you say, there is debate and conversation about it, and that's fine. But what happens after that is going to be a huge vacuum if you don't think about that now. And this is what I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is where where we like to talk, because like, okay,
Yeah.
AI is going to take away all this process and this automation and all this kind of stuff and content creation. What are you going to do
Great,
after
by the
that?
way.
Yeah, yeah,
Great. I'm glad it is. It's going to do a lot of this stuff we hate doing. That's where
yeah.
techno look, absolutely we have to, not only do we have to talk about it now, I think we have to, is it hunker down? Is that the word, hunker? Hanker?
I
Hunker?
don't actually know. I say
Okay.
hunker down.
Hunker.
You keep
Okay,
talking. I'm going to
whatever.
Google
If
it.
anybody knows, if anybody knows it, they can let us know in the. No. That we have people watching us. They can look it up for you and tell you what it is. You're supposed to
I
focus
think
on
you
me, so you have
overestimate
the
how
next
many
best
people
thing.
are what. You overestimate how many
Okay,
people are watching.
I'm. You said I'm overestimating or underestimating?
Probably both.
Okay. Um, I got off my track now. No, I think we need to take care of it now, and we need to. This is the best time. I mean, any time before there's a new tech that fully gets implemented and brought online in kind of significant ways. At the moment, we're still kind of dancing on the edges of things, but this is the best time to acquaint ourselves with it and to reacquaint ourselves with each other and to really lead out of that out of the very best of what it means to be human, especially in the workplace. This is, leaning on each other, supporting one another, transparency, um, uh, and it's just a great time. I think it's because people are a little unsettled, and so there are advantages, I think, to finding better ways to think and do and operate when there is a little bit of kind of this feeling of being unsettled, because people are more likely, especially good people. We don't care so much about the ones, we don't care so much about the faithless actors or the people that aren't really in it for the right reasons. But I think it just kind of pushes you, that little bit of desperation and intensity pushes you to be a little bit more open to try to figure things out. And if you can create the right atmosphere and environment, which a lot of companies struggle with, to be able to do that, you can really use it for your advantage, for your people and for your business, I think. And then as technology starts to get to the point where we can have it more integrated into our processes and our workflows, I think we're better equipped to manage it. We're less afraid of it. We'll know how to utilize it better. And really, I think great technology should make us better at what we're best at. It should make us best at what we're best at, really. That to me is fireworks.
Oh, we had this with Molky the other week, so now we
I
know that
don't
you're a
know what
fellow
happened.
Mac user.
Is it?
If you do this, I think it's this or
I can
this. Do the
also, I
two
think
that you can do.
maybe,
Yeah, you can do the
can I,
heart.
can I, can I blow you kisses?
Oh,
There you
oh yeah.
go. No, but I think, with the way things are going at work and people in tech, I think, a little pressure is a good thing. And I think being a little unsettled can be a good thing as long as you don't use it against your people and use it for them. You can make a lot of progress,
Yeah.
and see real transformation happen as long as you give them a safe place to land, through it. That got quite serious. I didn't mean to get that serious for a minute,
It
but
did, and Callie has said that she loves the phrase "retap into humanity." That's one she really likes, and Rob's also
thank you.
just confirmed for us. I showed on the screen earlier. It's hunker. Hunker is the right
Well,
phrase.
I know Mr. Rob Wright.
Oh, I don't.
Hello, Mr. Rob Wright. Rob and I go back many years ago. I hope he can remember what I look like. I met Rob in the 90s. So is he
When
following you? Is this young man Rob Wright following you? Do you know
I
Mr.
don't
Rob?
know, I'm gonna have to do a bit of stalking to
Ah,
find out if Rob Wright, yeah,
he
and
is
then
a he's a brilliant writer. He was another really super creative guy. We haven't been in touch in a long time, but it's nice to see you, Rob.
well, hey,
I
look,
remember you well
we're
and fondly.
we're reconnecting humans across the
Yeah, this is
world.
awesome.
Actually, where's he based?
He was in Bristol when I knew him. He was around Bristol. He'll say if that salute.
Hey, there we
Hey,
go. He's
Rob.
saying, "Hey, this is cool." Well, maybe we should get Rob on
Yeah,
the stream. We should have three of us one time.
he has one of the best. I'm sure it's only gotten more mature and more rich. I remember Rob had the best speaking voice. I used to love listening to him talk, even if he was telling me off for something. He just, he just has a very commanding way with his voice, and it was certainly it was a stop it. You're blushing. Yeah. Anyway, I remember. I'm glad you remember me, Rob. It's nice to see you. It's been too
Well,
long.
thanks for
Yeah.
tuning in, Rob. Really appreciate
Sunny
it.
Suffolk now. Yeah.
We just need. Oh, okay. So he's down the road from me. Like he's not too far. Hey, Rob, I'm in South Norfolk. I'm in Norfolk, but I have a Suffolk postcode. That's how close
Okay,
we
so
probably are.
allow me, Rob, Toby,
Yeah.
Rob, both great people. So There you go.
You've done it. This is
Okay.
awesome. This is great. Callie's also said it's hunker down, so we're really being proven that we
Okay.
don't know anything, but everyone is like it's hunker down. We all know this. Do you want to know the origin? So I googled it. Here's the origin, right? So, um, the Dictionary of the Scots language provides examples going back to 1720 when the term appeared in a line of poetry. I always love that. And hunkering down upon the clad grass. In Scots, one could also describe a low squatting position as sitting on one's hunkers or sitting hunker totty. So I had to read that, like, just sitting on one's hunkers.
Oh, I don't know what one's hunkers are, but
Or,
it
or, or
obviously it obviously requires some form of squatting. So
yeah,
we can just use your imagination from that
Scottish
point.
squatting. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we got completely sidetracked. A by hunkering, and B you reconnecting with Rob, who you've not spoken to for a while. This is great. This is
Yeah.
this is how Friends Reunited started, and then
Yeah.
subsequently
Oh,
disappeared. It's not. Okay. Oh, he's put kisses at the end of his stop it as well, which is just
I did.
lovely. This is
Stop it.
lovely stuff.
Stop it.
Oh, you.
You
Um,
guys.
I wanna go back to the hospitality thing because I don't think I've ever told you this. Because you said Rob has a lovely voice. I also think you have a lovely voice. Your voice like washes over me like smooth caramel. Sounds weird, but
That's
like
the
I don't.
first time I've ever heard that. And by the way, it's my least favorite feature.
What
Like when I hear
your
my voice, oh, are you kidding? When I hear my voice, I kind of start to sink and shrivel up. It's just awful. I
I
got to
think
get
that's the
better
same
at
with
it.
all. That's the same with all humans. I don't think anyone likes. I hate like my voice is prepubescent, squeaky, like, ugh. But no one
I
likes the
met a
sound of
guy
our
the
voice.
other. I met a guy in Kansas City through a group that I relate to and work with there, and that guy has the best voice. It's like I can only my friend describes it as California Shalom. I don't know how else to say it, but he has a really, really good voice. And he's a teacher. He teaches at a high school. And I'm thinking, man, if I would have had him as my teacher, I would have learned just so much about literature and history because it was really a great voice. So there are people I hear I aspire to be like with my voice, but no, I don't like my voice. But carry on as you were. You were saying something nice about me.
Oh, I don't think I was blowing smoke up your rear end as well, like you were doing to me
Okay.
earlier. But no, that was it. So there is one story you told. So this kind of relates to the voice because your voice is so captivating. In a room full of
Uh,
British people, in the same way a British person's room is captivating in a room full of American people, it's like, ooh, different.
Different.
Yeah, talk more. Ooh, oh, you said aluminum. Ooh, I don't know why we'd be talking about aluminium, but hey,
Yeah.
there's a story you told about trying to affect the change of behavior in people about ketchup packets. And it
Yeah.
was this, like, I've never told you this, but that story, A, has always stuck with me. I can picture, I can hear you
Hmm.
describing the story, but also it started me on my journey about like exploring things like behavioral economics and actually how you actually change your behavior in people, right? Because we both,
Hmm.
I think this is another reason why we like each other is like learning development, and it is kind of a load of old BS because it tries to affect behavior change in some of the worst possible ways, some of the most ineffectual ways. But
Hmm.
what you talked to me about those ketchup packets was just like, it was just the most beautiful story. So I just wondered if you could share the ketchup story.
Well, there was a restaurant. There was a restaurant owner. He had a number of franchises um, known in the eastern seaboard of the U.S., and he was having real issues with one of them. The with the employees not being as mindful with the condiments and their prepping and their cleaning up as they should be, and he was losing a lot of cash because they just were being quite negligent, and he wanted to try to find a way. I don't know if this is the point. We tell people I have a creativity coaching business, but anyway, he wanted to find a new creative way to get them to appreciate that basically they're kind of wasting his money. And he really liked them too, and people liked working for him, but it became a problem. And it became more acute when and more obvious when he moved from having bottles and things to the little packets of ketchup and mustard and so on and so forth. So he was basically losing a lot of money. And so what we came up with was we basically went in at night and dispersed nickels, which is 5 cents, 5 cent pieces, all over the restaurant. Basically, on the booths, on the chairs, and some obvious, some not obvious. We distributed them before the staff came in that morning, and they had their staff meetings. They were getting prepped up, and one person noticed a nickel. They had noticed another nickel, and they started to collect them. And they started to almost do a treasure hunt around the restaurant for these nickels. And we were watching and observing. For me, it was a little humorous, understanding human behavior. The boss was kind of surprised. They got more carried away in collecting nickels than they did in prepping for the shift. And then anyway, we let the shift run out, and at the end of the shift, we kind of came out and talked about it. And I said, "Oh, did you guys, forgot how it came up? I seem to have lost some cash. Did anybody find any cash today?" And they were kind of looking around at each other. And I think it was like $50 in nickels, which is quite a few nickels that we put around the restaurant. And they'd pretty much found all of them. And I said, that represents a ketchup packet or a mustard packet. And if you could just show as much attention to making sure that all the packets that are not used are collected as you did the nickel, because that's what it represents. And when you don't and they get thrown out, it's like you're taking, let's call him Dan, you're taking Dan's money and basically throwing it out in the trash. And he's frustrated, and he doesn't really know how to get you to pay attention to it. So, think of it as a nickel that doesn't belong to you, and consider how good he is to you and how he's trying to give you an opportunity to elevate you in your career. And so one simple way you can pay it back is just to pay more attention, really. And it worked. I think that was the story you wanted me to tell.
It was, and my internet actually dropped out halfway through that story, so I don't know if you realized
Great.
that. But I know the story.
Talking. If nobody, I don't know if anybody heard it. If anybody heard it till the end, if they can indicate it, that'd be great.
I just sent you a WhatsApp. Everyone heard it, so
okay, fine.
You're good. Like everyone will have heard it.
Did they get to keep? Emily's asking if they got to keep the money. Yeah, it didn't really matter. That's a really good question. We had talked about that before. He was like, "No, but I'm going to want it back." I said, "No, that's not the point." What I wanted to happen, which happened, which a lot of them, by their own election choice, offered it back, which meant to me that we succeeded in getting the message across to them. They actually offered it back. And I said, "Well, no, you can keep it. I don't know what you're going to do with a pocket full of nickels, but you can keep it for sure. But just be more mindful." And he understood that they got the message, and he appreciated them not only being honest about it, but being willing to give it back, which meant in a way they were forming a tighter collaboration as a restaurant community, which is all he wanted anyway. So that was one little ditty from the past of some of my wacky experiences and helping leaders find creative ways to solve problems.
But this was the first story. That was the first story you ever told me and Mel. And when we left that, and we're like, this guy gets it. This guy thinks different. This guy's doing stuff. And the amount of effort and money that initiative took was tiny, but the impact was massive. Like, in terms of changing the behavior. I mean, maybe not financially, but the behavior.
Yeah, it did. And it ended up saving, cash, hard cash. It did. And it could be seen. So the evidence, within 2 months, the evidence was clear. We had a before and after that was irrefutable. And I'm a big believer in creating evidence for any work that you're doing to really transform. We say transform companies. I don't believe it's possible. I'm sorry if this offends anybody. I don't believe in the term digital transformation. I've never understood it. I've never met a digit that needed to be transformed. I've never seen a one or a zero that needed to have a new way of thinking and doing in life. It's all about people. We're the ones that need to change and transform. We're the ones that agree and decide to what measure we're willing to go for the sake of the company, for the sake of our own work or whatever. And so I've always had that approach. And what happened that was good is he had a model to run throughout all of his franchises. So, we kind of, I forgot what we called it, but it was something he communicated to the managers across the Eastern Seaboard in all of his restaurants. Hey, I think it was more the spirit of the idea that they got across, but it helped him to think and do different. So he was on his way on the kind of creativity journey. And so, yeah, a grand time was had by all.
And that is what you do. Like, that's when
Pretty
anyone
much.
tells me what you do, I was like, that, like, imagine that, but across your whole organization, regardless if you're a restaurateur or not. That's what Rocket
Mhm.
does.
Yeah, it's helping leaders, yeah, to remember to move out of a place of their humanity, but to tap into their creativity. I really believe that the only truly sustainable competitive advantage you have is your creativity. In any organization, in any line of business, in any vertical, it's your creativity. There's nothing in play. We've talked about this before. There's nothing you have at play today in your business. If I can see it, buy it, acquire it in your business, there's nothing you have in your business today that I can't acquire, acquire uh, uh, in some fashion, replicate, or steal with a little ingenuity. So you better learn, especially with AI coming, there's going to be less differentiation between products and services. You better learn how to tap that unique, um, uh, truly competitive advantage you have, which is your creativity, and how to get it on tap. And it's really, I describe it as the bridge between what if and why not. I'm not talking about being creative, which is, this isn't about tutus or jazz hands. What happens if I do that? Anything? It's really about tapping the source that is where it's your kind of unique thinking place, and where you get your inspiration to think and do different, which is required if you have to do something you've never done before. And we're going to find in every organization and every line of business and every vertical and every industry, we're going to all have to find new ways of thinking and doing, because we're going to have to do things we've never done before just to survive, let alone thrive. And so I think helping leaders first, because they're the ones with the influence on their people and their organizations, how to recognize their own kind of creativity channel, where it comes from, and how to tap it, is really vital for success moving forward. And I'm just so glad that I found my quan. I found my thing. Out of all the things that I've done over the many, many years, it all really came back to that. I just didn't really realize that was my sweet spot. And so I've recently launched a practice dedicated to helping people discover their creativity, and to how to have it on tap when they need it most. So I didn't mean that to be a plug, but I did try. So
Hey, look, why the hell would we all be on LinkedIn if we weren't trying to sell something?
oh, that hurts.
It ain't for the great chat, that's for sure. No, that's harsh. Like, there is some really great chat on it, but then there is just some people that just sell, sell, sell. So I think that was like the teeniest, tiniest little plug. That's allowed, but no more. No,
Okay,
that's
that was it. No, that was it. Really, well, there's nothing else to plug. If that doesn't if that doesn't inspire people to want to get in touch, I gave it my best shot. That's really what I do, and how I do it, and I love. I've turned pin and teller into a verb. I love pin and tellering, kind of the creativity process with people. I'll show them exactly how it's done, how to do it for themselves, and give them as much information of what happens, how the sausage is made, how they can discover it for themselves, really. And that to me is where the high value is. Because if you have to replicate, if you think about it, I'm not a big fan of consulting or well, I used to have a very colorful word for consultants, if you remember. Um, but I think, the thing about transformation or change in the consulting industry, and I've been in it for a long time, so I feel qualified to do this to it if I want to. Um, it's great for my business because you're always going to have problems that need to be solved. So if I build a business based on helping you to solve your problems, I'm always going to have business. It's not so great for your business, and it's not really helping your people figure it out for themselves. So I've
Mm.
always tried to advocate a model to show exactly how it's done, give them as much resource as you possibly can, and set them up to succeed. And to me, that's much more high value. And if I do a really good job, you're not going to need to call on me for the next time you need to do something. Certainly not in a highly concentrated way. You might be a little tweaking, but I think leave people in a position where they're able to do it for themselves. Teach them how to catch fish instead of catching fish for them. I just think it's a better business model, really.
What
And then
was
they'll
the
tell their friends,
what was
"Oh, he's really
there's
good at
like
it."
that 2-word thing that you said. It's like is it embed and spread? Is it that one?
Yeah,
What,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's kind of the consulting gag. I wrote a piece on it. It's on my profile somewhere. I think it was called "Never Buy That Crappy Toothbrush." But I've gone to great lengths to expose the consulting game because I do think it's a game. I mean, the goal of the major bulge bracket consulting firms, they have a singular goal, and it's taught. It's embed. It's drilled into you when you go through their boot camps. They all have boot camps, and it's really to get your name printed on your client's business card. I mean, that's to get in there and to solve problems. And I know there are people that are going to be angry hearing this. I'm sorry. You're still probably newer to the game, but really you solve the problem and you solve it well. But the goal is to look for things to solve and to try to make yourself useful through the organization. But my view is if we're doing our job right, you should be better equipped. I can give you a great example of this. Have you ever moved house?
Yes. 4
How many
times.
times have you moved house? Okay. Was it different the second time than the first time? Was it a little
Uh,
easier?
Emotionally easier, probably. It
Okay,
wasn't.
it's
It
still
wasn't
hard
actually.
work,
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't that
but
much
you knew
easier.
what but you knew what to do. The
Yeah.
first time you don't know what to do. You're not exactly sure the best order to organize things and you
Oh,
make a lot of mistakes, right? So if you have help, if you were to have somebody help you understand before you started on that endeavor on how to move house, you shouldn't need to call them or to lean on them heavily the second time you move because you
mm,
learned how to do it. So a lot of the consulting firms, if you look up on their websites, they'll have somewhere that talk about change management, transformation, design. It's saying they all quote this old report that says 70% of change initiatives fail and da da da. But we're going to help you. They all have this. They all have a page on it, and it, I'm wondering if they think we're so stupid. I think if you're so bang up brilliant, then why is that needle stuck at 70% failure? And you've been doing this for decades. Like this just doesn't compute. So helping people to learn using the model of the house, helping you learn how to move well in a humane, which with moving is bizarre, but it's possible. How to do it humanely, optimally. I got to fund up humanely, optimally, and efficiently. If I can leave you with those tools, you're going to be in a much better position to help yourself the next time you're ready to move. And that's how I view working with organizations. And I think all of us that are independent should carry that view because that high value that you leave, it's not just about impact, it's about imprint.
mm.
How can you imprint what you're doing with people, not with processes, because people have to design and run processes. How can you imprint the very best of what you have to offer in hearts and minds? And then that's such high value that even if you don't need me much next time, you're going to know people that will. And so it's a great adventure for me to move on, and it's good for you because you're better equipped to do what you need to do to win in your business. And I got a great reference. So for me, I think it's just a more ethically way. It's what I found to be a more ethically way to kind of run my business. So that's the
That
end of my preach.
no. It's a good preach. Like it's absolutely the thing that that big consultancies absolutely, and even the smaller ones that I've worked with in the past, right? the whole principle of like account management is all for the
Ugh.
embed and spread stuff. It's like you're building your account management strategy on the basis that you want to take as much money from that client as possible, not that you want to help them in the best way possible. And but all your outward facing messaging is saying we want to help our clients be the very best they can be, but secretly we want to drain all their money into our bank because they can earn the money and then we'll just siphon it off into our own like it's icky. It's icky.
Well, okay, so I've set it up. We have 4 minutes. Let me do my 1 minute crappy toothbrush story because if can I do that? I think it's really good.
You have.
Can I tell my story?
Not that you need my permission, but you have
Okay,
it.
so you go into a client organization and you do a piece of work and you do a good job. Like, I'm not saying there aren't people doing good work. You do good work and you tell the client, hey, you know what you should do? This is amazing. Look at the result that you have. He says, yeah, whatever. You should invite all your friends to a party, celebrate this new change you have in your department. Yay, go do that. That's a great idea. Meanwhile, as they're prepping for the party, you take a little caca and you drop it in the corner, different part of the business. And you go, excuse me, is that a caca over there? Oh, that's a caca. Oh my God, how'd the caca get there? Oh, that's terrible. What are we gonna? Hey, don't worry. You go back to planning the party. I can take care of it. You can take care of it. I can take care of that. I have the skills to say, wow, you're so amazing. I know. You plan the party. So I pick up the caca, I take it home, I make caca brownies. I bring the caca brownies to the party. Everybody's having a good time at the party. They eat a caca brownie and say, wow, this brownie tastes like caca. Hey, don't worry. I have the best toothbrush. You have a toothbrush for that? And that's the embed and spread consulting model. It may be a little harsh, but it's kind of true. So
yeah,
let's not do that kind of work.
The softly approach doesn't instigate change, and so you kind of need a little bit of tough love, and that mirror needs to be played back.
For sure. Well, hopefully that's not too tough, but that's it. So.
We're rapidly running out of time here, and usually we end the show by playing these.
Okay.
We got two different flavors. We got business leaders or human resources. Which deck would you like, Rocket?
Dark chocolate, baby. Dark chocolate.
That one. Okay, so I should have really opened these before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick through the deck, and you're going to tell me when to stop. And whatever it says on the deck is going to be our last thing we talk about today. Got it?
Okay, good. Go.
Great. Okay. It's fourth week. I've done it so smooth for 3 weeks, and
You're
the fourth
such an
week.
Expert. Well done. You did it without screwing it up. Okay, go on. Yeah, use that one.
I have to use the last one. Oh, do you want me to just start from the beginning and flip it all again? What if we wanted to retain the same culture we had when there were just fewer than 10 employees in our company? The vibe in a company of 10 people is better than a vibe of a company of 10,000 people? Discuss.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not a question. There's a lot of evidence and data to back that up. I'm not an expert in that number. I just know that there is a sweet spot number. You talked about behavioral economics and kind of say rest in peace, Daniel Kahneman, who we lost about 2 months ago, who is the father of behavioral economics. You can only be tight with a very small group of people. And if you imagine that small group, let's say 10 people, and then they all have a few people they're tight with, and you kind of have this loop ring. It gets to the point in the stage where it just doesn't work anymore because you don't have the people that need to be connected properly together, aren't given the right provision and tools to kind of maintain that. So as it grows, those kind of tight-knit small communities that are formed inside organizations start to dissipate and kind of break up. And so it's very hard when you get past a certain point. I think the number of kind of the ideal size of any kind of grouping within an organization is about 150. I think that's around 100, 150. It's not that you can't have a corporation of 10,000 people, but you have to think I wouldn't think in the mindset of 10, but I would think, how do we keep it? I would think of how can we create these clusters within the organization that keeps the people that need to be connected properly. The best example I give is, the most people that you can have together touching each other, like holding hands, is three. So if you add a fourth person to that group, somebody isn't touching somebody's hand directly.
Mm.
And so within communication, that's just called, that's just like evidential physics. I mean, you can see it. If you think as you're growing your organization, if you think like how do we find the best tools to maintain that small group connectivity, I think you can do the scale of that to a measure, but how you do it depends. Is it geographically based? Is it skill based? Is it interest based? Is it productivity based? Those are all questions people have to kind of figure out depending on their own particular lend or lean or bend within the organization. But I wouldn't. I mean, that's the best I can say to that. It's not easy to do, and the only way you have a chance of doing it is to think small group, to have a small group mindset. It's going to be more expensive. It's going to be more time consuming. I think that's where AI can help a lot to kind of get rid of the crap and clutter that isn't necessary, and to use it in ways to kind of bind people together instead of tearing them apart. I think that's the best shot you have at being able to do it as you grow as an organization. So
That is a great
that
way to,
was
like, usually we have like 15 minutes to like have a bit of to and fro with that, but we completely ran out of time this time on on Freeformers and Friends. We'll have to get you back. In fact, every guest we've had so far has been fantastic, that we're going to have to get people back because we've just left so much on the table to talk about.
well, thank you. Thanks for having me anyway. I've really enjoyed it. I'd love to come back.
Oh, and you know what? We didn't even touch on the Packers or the Cowboys and how the Cowboys suck and how the Packers are great. We didn't even get to cover any of that stuff.
Wah, 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 wah.
Okay, Rocket, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you very
I'm going to
much.
wrap up here, but I'm going to throw you off the stage. I think I'm going to push you. I can't. This is my mouse hand, so I can't actually push you off. So I'm just going to
Thanks
say
everybody
goodbye
for tuning
and
in.
catch you on the
I
other
appreciate
side.
it. Thanks, mate. I'll see you on the other side. Thanks a lot. Ciao.
Wow. So that was episode 4 of Freeformers and Friends with my good friend Rocket. Just a great storyteller, has an abundance of stories, and we'll definitely get him back because we need to hear more of those ketchup packet-esque style stories. So much stuff to dig into. Having known him for 10 years, we've only just scraped the very surface of the stories he has. But Rocket did a plug. Hey, I'm going to do a plug as well. The What If conversation cards, the cards that we just played, are now on sale. We've set up a shop. I say we. Emily has set up a shop. The shop is live. You can scan this QR code. You can go to our website. You can buy these. And for those people in Dallas, Fort Worth, we do international shipping. Hooray! I can see Rocket in the green room giving me a massive thumbs up. So those cards are available to buy now. We are selling them. We've got merch, baby. And with that, I am going to wish you all an incredible Thursday. If you're in the US, if you're over here in the UK, have a good evening. And we'll see you all next week with, I think, Jen from Merseyside. So we've gone from stateside to Merseyside.